She was 5 minutes from home. That's all it should have taken. But after leaving a nightclub late at night, she vanished. When police retraced her final movements, everything pointed to a taxi driver. When confronted, he led a detective to her and to another body that had been hidden for years. But in the end, the detective lost his career. This is the story of Sian O'Callaghan, a case that cost a detective his career even after catching the killer. Swindon, Wiltshire, England. Friday, March 18, 2011, began like any other normal day for 22-year-old Sian O'Callaghan, an office administrator. Known for her friendly nature and close relationships with family and friends. She was living in the Old Town area with her boyfriend of 3 years, Kevin Reap. And by all accounts, her life was stable, routine, and happy. That evening, while Kevin had spent the day in Cheltenham and was returning to Swindon, Sian stayed in town and went out with friends, eventually arriving at Suju nightclub in the town center. The night followed a familiar pattern: music, drinks, and dancing, nothing out of the ordinary. As the early hours of March 19th approached, Sian became separated from her friends inside the crowded club, and tired after a long night, she decided to walk home alone, a distance of roughly 800 meters from the town center to her flat in Old Town. At 2:53 a.m., CCTV captured her leaving the venue alone, appearing calm and heading in the direction of her home. At 2:57 a.m., another camera recorded her passing the Goddard Arms pub, continuing along the correct route. There were no signs of distress, no indication that anything was wrong. But somewhere along that short journey, something changed. Sian never made it back. Back at the flat, Kevin was waiting for her. As time passed without any sign of her, concern began to grow. At 3:24 a.m., he sent her a message, asking where she was. But there was no reply. As the hours went by, that concern turned into panic. Repeated calls to her phone early that morning went unanswered, which was completely out of character for her. At 9:45 a.m., realizing something was seriously wrong, Kevin contacted the police and reported Sian missing. What began as a normal night out had now become the beginning of a major investigation. Wiltshire police quickly recognized the seriousness of the situation, because a young woman does not simply disappear within a short walk to home without explanation. The case, named Operation Mayon, was led by Detective Superintendent Steve Fulcher, a highly experienced officer, who understood that the first 48 hours, often considered the most critical, would be vital. And he mobilized a full-scale investigation. When investigators analyzed Sian's phone signal, they discovered something alarming. At 3:24 a.m., when Kevin sent a message asking where she was, her phone was no longer in Swindon. Instead, it had connected to a cell tower in Savernake Forest, a large wooded area nearly 12 miles away from the club. Only 31 minutes had passed between Sian leaving the club at 2:53 a.m. and her phone connecting 12 miles away at 3:24 a.m., making it impossible for her to have traveled that distance on foot. The journey could only have been made by vehicle, raising serious concern. With this realization, the investigation intensified. By March 22nd, a large-scale search operation was launched in Savernake Forest, involving police units and hundreds of local volunteers, searching for any trace of Sian. At the same time, detectives reviewed CCTV footage across Swindon, focusing on vehicles near her last known location. Detectives identified a green Toyota Avensis taxi moving slowly in the area at the exact time Sian disappeared. Using automatic number plate recognition systems (ANPR), which track vehicle movements across the road network, police traced the taxi to a local driver, Christopher Halliwell. Halliwell, a 47-year-old father of 3, worked for a local taxi firm. To his neighbors, passengers, and the outside world, he appeared quiet and ordinary. Although he had a past burglary conviction, there was no known history of violence. But the digital evidence told a completely different, deeply sinister story. Police forensic analysts reconstructed Halliwell's movements on the night Sian disappeared, using CCTV, GPS data, and ANPR records. March 19th, 1:10 a.m., he completed his final fare. 2:13 a.m., he switched off his GPS tracking system. 2:34 a.m., CCTV showed his taxi moving slowly near the Suju nightclub. 2:57 a.m., CCTV captured Sian approaching Halliwell's taxi near the Goddard Arms. Detectives believe she got in, thinking it was a safe ride home. Later that day, at 12:18 p.m., ANPR cameras recorded him driving toward the Savernake Forest area. That night, at 9:49 p.m., he switched his GPS back on and resumed his taxi shift, as if nothing had happened, with the timeline now pointing strongly toward Halliwell. Steve Fulcher identified him as the prime suspect. But instead of arresting him immediately, Fulcher made the decision to monitor him, believing there was still a chance Sian could be alive. Police launched covert surveillance, tracking him continuously. Over the next 2 days, what they observed raised serious concern. He repeatedly cleaned his taxi interior and was seen burning items, possibly to destroy evidence. Officers followed him closely and even overheard him mentioning that police had spoken to him. It was clear he knew he was under suspicion. The situation escalated when he purchased a large quantity of paracetamol, raising fears he might take his own life. At that moment, the risk of waiting became greater than the risk of acting. Fulcher made the call. The surveillance operation ended, and officers moved in to arrest Halliwell. On the morning of March 24, 2011, police arrested Christopher Halliwell in a supermarket car park on suspicion of kidnapping Sian O'Callaghan. Under UK law, he should have been taken straight to the police station and given access to a solicitor. But Steve Fulcher believed time was running out and that Sian might still be alive. So he made a controversial decision that would ultimately cost him his career. Instead of taking him to the station, Fulcher ordered officers to drive him to Barberry Castle, a remote area. There, without a lawyer present, Fulcher confronted him directly, pressing for answers. At first, Halliwell refused to speak and asked for a solicitor. But Fulcher didn't back down. He kept the pressure on. After minutes of silence, Halliwell finally broke. He looked at the detective and said, "Have you got a car? We'll go." Halliwell directed police to a remote location near the Uffington White Horse in Oxfordshire. Their officers discovered the body of Sian O'Callaghan, hidden in a shallow grave. Fulcher stood near the scene, confronted with the reality. He had located Sian, but he was too late to save her. As officers prepared to take Halliwell into formal custody, he calmly asked, "Do you want another one?" The officers were left stunned into silence. He led police to Gloucestershire, near the village of Eastleach. There he pointed to a spot where he said he had buried another woman years earlier. Excavation teams recovered human remains, later identified as Becky Godden-Edwards, a 20-year-old woman from Swindon, who had disappeared in 2003 after last being seen getting into a taxi. For years, her case had remained unsolved. Halliwell had been hiding in plain sight. A post-mortem later confirmed Sian had suffered a violent and sustained attack. She had been beaten, stabbed to the head and neck, assaulted, and ultimately strangled to death. Halliwell was a monster. The discovery brought closure to the families. But the legal battle was just beginning, because Fulcher had questioned Halliwell without following proper legal procedure. The court ruled that Halliwell's confessions were inadmissible. Despite this, in the case of Sian, investigators had strong evidence. CCTV footage, phone data, and ANPR records. In October 2012, Halliwell pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life imprisonment under the UK's Homicide Act 1957 and related sentencing provisions. However, in Becky Godden-Edwards' case, there was initially not enough evidence to charge him, and for a time, her murder remained unprosecuted. Meanwhile, Steve Fulcher faced serious consequences. He was found guilty of gross misconduct for breaching the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, and despite public support from the victims' families, he later resigned under pressure in 2014, bringing an end to his 27-year policing career. But the investigation continued. Driven by Becky's family, detectives re-examined the case and found new evidence. Soil traces on tools linked to Halliwell matched the burial site. In 2016, Halliwell was finally convicted of Becky Godden-Edwards' murder and given a whole life order. What Halliwell did wasn't a single, impulsive act. It was a pattern. He targeted women who were alone, late at night, and vulnerable. There was no personal connection, no clear motive, just opportunity and control. Even after his conviction, questions remained. Police later recovered multiple items of women's clothing linked to him. To this day, investigators have not been able to link those items to any confirmed cases, leaving the possibility that some victims may never be identified. And that's what makes this case even more unsettling. A killer remained free for years after taking a life. A detective who broke the rules to catch him lost his career. In the end, the truth was found, but justice felt incomplete. In moments like this, what matters more? The right way or the right outcome? And do you think Fulcher's resignation was justified? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this case informative, make sure to like and subscribe for more real crime stories. Thanks for watching.